Okay, so here is that Zenith chassis that customer brought to me out of the radio. So I'm going to take a first look at the chassis right now. And I actually am struggling to figure out what the model number is for this. It's an 11S4 something. It might be a 474, but it came with a phonograph, and the 474 I don't believe had a phonograph. So well, like I said, the customer just pulled this out of the cabinet himself and pulled the phonograph out himself and brought it to me. So I'm trying to figure out what model it is. But anyhow, it's an 11 tube radio. It's 11S. It's a 1940. I can tell that by the escutcheon and the dial design. So that was a 1940 only design. Has dual 6x5s, which is really handy because the 6x5 has a kind of a nasty reputation for failure. But I have a bunch of 6x5W GTs, which are military ruggedized versions, so those should probably work. I have some new old stock ones. Those will probably work just fine. And it's pretty dusty, pretty dirty, but the top side looks to be in good shape. Now, I haven't even looked underneath it yet, so you're going to get the first look right along with me. So let's tip this up. Take a look inside here. I love how you can stand Zenith chassis up on the transformer. So it's had some replacement capacitors, you can see. There's an awful lot of original looking dog bones, but there's a replacement capacitor. Oh, right there's one. And well, that's about the only one I see that looks replacement. So you know, this Zenith like to put a lot of times they like to put their electrolytics, especially this vintage, under the chassis, which is real nice because then I don't have to worry about a can. I really don't engage in a lot of restuffing anyway because the folks I'm doing radios for don't want to take on that expense. And personally, I'm not sure I really like the idea of restuffing anyhow. It just seems like an awful lot of work to me. With very little gain. I don't know if there's a lot to be gained in historical significance or not. Now with the old potted stuff in the really old radios, what I like to do is I'll put in a modern capacitor or component right next to the original potted and leave it alone. That way I'm not destroying the original stuff, and that preserves historical stuff even more than restuffing does. But I don't see any major problems in the linkage here for the tuning and power and volume control, so that looks good. It all looks to be decent. The idler wheel's in good shape. Of course, both the belt and the string are missing. That's pretty standard fare. All four springs are there with the chassis. I just finished working on an 8S661, so this is going to feel very familiar to me. I work on a lot of these Zeniths. For some reason, this area, there's a lot of these radios that sell really well. Or sold really well, so there's a lot of them around. And let's take a look here. This one does not have an RF stage, so it's a 2-gain capacitor, tuning condenser. And 11 tubes, including this I-tube, probably a 6U5. Could be a 6E5, no big deal. They're always dead, so I'll wind up replacing that tube. Always dead. I've never found an old radio. Well, that's not true. I found one old one with a decent tube that I was really surprised to find. Linkage looks to be in good shape. A lot of times this linkage will be beat up. It's a little bound up here. I'm not sure. Somehow it got packed up there tight. It's a good thing it didn't break. But that's in good shape. Dial, pointer, everything looks to be good. I think we're going to be okay there. Things are a little bit stiff. So they're a little tight. But I can fix all that with some cleaning and lubrication. Best not to mess with it too much. So all in all, I think this will be a decent project. So I'll go ahead and dig in.